almost all of the things that happen to one of us happen to all of us. When I was young, my idea of making it was, to find a husband and get married and have kids and have a house.
It's a little bit a combination of talent, charisma, knowing how to put up a show, knowing how to handle your instrument and being unique.
Music is energy. Whatever you give comes back to you in life, but also in music and on stage. It's true.
I've had to work for many years just to not be seen as something that should be naked by now.
I have sold my heart to metal a very long time ago, and I will defend it forever.
I think it's as hard for a man as it is for a woman to survive in this business.
Is this a metal show or what,
I never cared about the opinion of others. As soon as I climb on a stage, I'm someone else. When I was a kid, I didn't think about music. I wanted to become a biologist. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I loved nature and I loved animals. I learned all the scientific names for animals and rescued animals and cleaned out the environment from trash. And I was a kid like that, and singing and performing was far, far away from me because I was super shy, the teased kid. Just the thought of, being in the spotlights was back in the days and really something I didn't want. It's very common here in the Netherlands that the children learn to play an instrument. And you all start with the same flute, like a wooden little flute, just to learn the basics of music and learn how to read the notes.
I played the normal flute, the blokfluit, and the querflöte. It's also the flute. This and this.
I changed from this position to this position and did that about 7 or 8 years.
I actually studied classical flute back then. I do nothing with it anymore. I was actually studying the coolest metal instrument ever, the clarinet, when I was a kid.
I grew up just singing along with Disney movies and stuff. So I could sing like a princess, I guess.
I had an old crooked guitar from my uncle Harry. And I learned some chords on the guitar, so I started writing songs. Then I discovered my the old guitar of my father, old acoustic guitar, and put new strings on it and learned to play some chords with him. And I think after I learned to play the first 3 chords, I tried to write a song. In school, I was always immediately in a school choir and in the school band, and I did all those shows where you could win prizes, and so I was on stage when I was about 11 or 12, and I loved it. On the last year, we always have a school musical, and unfortunately, only the popular kids got the main, bigger parts in it, the bigger roles. And I loved it from the beginning, but I was not a popular kid, so I just got, put away in the back a little bit. Nevertheless, I loved it so much. And then high school came, and there was this High School Musical that they were gonna do. So I signed up for that, and this one actually had auditions.
I auditioned to sing a part for Marilyn Monroe. There was another girl, and she was following acting classes. So she put up this great act, couldn't really sing, but she was very entertaining to watch. And I was standing there like a fridge, super nervous, singing the song.
I did the audition, and I got one of the bigger roles as narrator in the story of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat from Andrew Lloyd Webber.
And she liked my voice so much, they wrote an extra part for the musical just so that I could sing a song, and that was All at Once from Whitney Houston. And I sang it horribly. I don't want to ever see that again.
I really enjoyed the singing, and when finally the show came, I was hooked. And after that, I joined the school band, and after we moved, I found a new band in the place where I lived back then, and that was After Forever.
But she sparked a flame in me. She told me you should get singing lessons. So at the age of 14, I got like jazz pop singing lessons.
I never thought of becoming a professional singer until I visited the conservatory. That was during my high school days. A lot of students make trips to, educations to see if it would fit or not.
I didn't go to a conservatory, but I did have like 6 years of private singing lessons.
Then the Rock Academy came, which started in '99 here in the Netherlands. It was a whole new education, sort of like the conservatory, but then for pop and rock musicians, and that was perfect for me.
I had my first records out, and after the third record, people said, well, are you a trained singer? Did you study it? And I said, no. Got on my nerves, and I thought, man, I don't like when people, look down on me because I didn't study it. So I took vocal lessons.
I had 2 years of singing lessons as a kid.
Yeah, I started when I was 8 and I loved it, and I did it until I was about 15.
Yeah, I was a student who really wanted to learn a lot. Every time I learned something, I saw how much more there was to learn. And I didn't find a teacher on the Rock Academy that could trigger me into wanting even more. I just ran into their boundaries all the time.
I would get a lot of comments from my teacher saying I would quit that band of yours and, go search for a choir, because who wouldn't want a nice soprano like you?
And then after a couple of years, the same people said, hey, can you sing like you sang before? That's terrible.
It started really dwindling, as I was starting to turn into a young adult.
And so I ended up with a teacher on the conservatory, with whom I've later continued my studies in music theater and opera after my graduation from Rock Academy, just because he could trigger me into doing new things, different things.
When I was 14, I think I started singing, took lessons after school. Did that for 14 years, I think. And I did everything from classical to jazz to pop to anything. And I found out that the technical side I liked that, to develop technically.
I had very short training, and I actually quit because I didn't like this element of it, which really, it wasn't all about teaching technique, but it was also about teaching aesthetics. And I always felt I like to kind of decide on my own aesthetics.
Yeah, then heavy metal made its way into my life and changed everything.
I was mainly listening to bands like Pantera and Machine Head.
Within Temptation and After Forever.
After Forever, Within Temptation, After Forever,
Slayer, Metallica.
Metallica.
Mystic Circle, Dimmu Borgir, Cradle of Filth, Old Man's Child,
Moonspell or Amorphis. And In Flames.
from Nightwish,
Celestial Season.
Tristania,
System of a Down.
Saxon and Maiden and Priest and Motorhead.
My Dying Bride and
Lacuna Coil.
yeah, then Radiohead is my favorite band ever.
But the guys were listening to In Flames and to bands like Dimmu Borgir.
Another important one was Orphanage. It's also a band from the Netherlands.
The Gathering.
The Gathering.
Yeah, the combination of a powerful female voice with metal was, for me, in The Gathering the first time, like, wow, this is really, really cool. I also met them backstage. I was one of those, you know, really scared 16-year-olds, like, oh, I'm gonna meet the band backstage. It's so funny, I can't even remember, especially because I became friends with Anneke, with the singer, because, you know, the world is such a small place. Yeah, there were some weird bands I never really got to follow. I just bought CDs that looked cool, because you're 50 and you have no idea. Yeah, different perspective. It's good to remember.
My first encounters with metal were with doom metal, for instance. And that's very, very emotional, very melancholic, very dramatic, and that really spoke to me. And when I figured out that there were women who were involved in this kind of music, was like, okay, you're allowed to do this as a woman, you know, there is a possibility to make heavy music.
I guess I became interested in women, you know, singing metal as well. I listened to Theatre of Tragedy and Sins of Thy Beloved to figure out that was not my type of singing, since I've always loved power voices. And Anneke van Giersbergen, the singer of The Gathering, has a more powerful voice.
But I also listened to a lot of black music, like Aretha Franklin and Michael Jackson and Diana Ross, Marvin Gaye. Mahalia Jackson, my mother had a record of her. I loved Ella Fitzgerald. I loved that. And then I listened to Barbra Streisand. And so what all these guys have in common is that they are like proper singers. Like, they're very technical, skilled singers. They make like long notes and they have lots of energy in their performance, in their voice, in the power of their voice. I always loved that. I always loved it.
All the let's say the instrumental parts of metal all bring every song to a certain climax, or it's just one big climax, you know, heavy stuff.
I love it because it has like a very, like a romantic atmosphere almost, because of the darkness in it. Not like romantic candlelight dinner, but you know, like they have something you want to be there when they play. You get sucked into the mood.
It allows for everything, like including emotions and sounds, to be kind of larger than life. I like the extra drama that is permitted in metal.
Not necessarily drama as bombastic, symphonic something, but more like that passion, that melancholy.
That also the singers bring in power, nice interpretation, powerful feelings, and also power in their sound to emphasize the power and the heaviness of the music.
So it's more that quality of, you know, of the dramatic, of the larger than life, and of the even the aggressive sometimes that really spoke to me.
For me, I just really love the aggressiveness of metal. It's sort of like, I mean, if you take the aggression of punk and then you just make it like 1,000 times angrier and darker, but then you're also allowed to have like beautiful melody in there. You know, like metal is so open in that way that you can kind of do anything you want and it's acceptable. And I can't really think of many other genres of music where you have that much freedom.
It's a bit more intricate than the stuff you hear on the top 40. And that appealed to me. I could properly dive into a song or in a band, you know, because they all had stories and they had something to say also about politics, about themselves, about their feelings, about social issues. So, yeah.
The most important thing for me has always been the music, and in metal I can just do what I like most.
When I started out, I didn't really have any major goals in music. I was like, well, this is cool, let's just see how this goes. Then once I, you know, got signed to a label and started having my CDs being recognized and people coming to the shows and knowing the name of my band, it sort of started becoming, okay, I want everybody to know the name of my band so that I can keep doing this and make more music. And I was satisfied with just like, if I can just like work a job to be able to survive and do my band, that's fine.
This is what we like. We never made the music just to become as big as Michael Jackson.
You can become a very big metal artist and tour the world and tour it again, and that's big enough for me. I don't need to become the next Pink or Madonna or, you know, Skunk and Nancy.
But now it's getting to the point where, well, okay, I don't have another job, so I need to do my band to be able to survive. And honestly, I think that my goal, or like the peak for me, is just I want to be able to live a happy life doing something that makes me happy.
Yeah, big like Pantera or big like Metallica, why not? I mean, that's the limits, I guess, within metal, but that's huge. That's fine. I wouldn't be unhappy if I wouldn't, you know, reach that level.
I don't have to be rich. Like I said, I have my cats, I have a roof over my head, I'm fine, but no, yeah.
Making music with Arch Enemy makes me happy, and playing shows and writing songs and recording albums makes me happy. So if I can live comfortably doing that, then that's good enough for me. You know, I don't need to live in a big house or drive a fancy car or have a car at all. You know, I don't need, you know, expensive clothing. Like I actually hate materialistic things. I have no interest in whatsoever.
The music and making the music you like is the biggest ambition. To be privileged, I'd be privileged, feel privileged to be able to do that. That is more important than becoming super famous.
We make this music because we want to do it, or our heart tells to do it, and we're good in it.
What is it you see today? A reflection, yes.
So there's no reason to change to a more commercial style.
Metal is technical and musical music. It's well written. You have to be a good player to be playing in a good metal band. If there's one thing, I've seen a lot of people that don't listen to metal regularly, but do like music or are musicians but not familiar with the genre. What they've been noticing is very often you have to be a very good musician to do this well. You have to be technically good, and it's not just fast. And to write a good metal song, you need to be a good songwriter, not just violins and just, you know, noise. Some people just assume, oh, metal is noise. Really, try to make it.
Metal is the new opera. When opera came up, most people said it was horrible, this new technique of the voice. It was terrible. And nowadays, everybody loves it, like, oh yeah, beautiful. But I think the same is with metal. If you don't know it really well and you just hear the noise, then of course the people say, oh, it's awful, it's no music, it's just some shit. But the people who do know it and do like it, they know it is technically very advanced and really good.
Classical music in general correlates amazingly well with metal, especially because of the intricacies and how melodic it is and how it tells a story. The way it comes back to sections, I think it's like the beginning of heavy metal.
I used to write acoustic songs, little singer-songwriting kind of thing. Take my guitar with me to parties and sing. People would always ask me to. There was one particular birthday party of a friend, and this guy came to me and said, hey, I know this metal band. I heard you like metal as well, and they're looking for this background singer.
We had a grunter, a frontman, that was a guy, later on he left the band. And when she showed up, we heard she was so good that wasn't just a background singer.
So just by saying I like metal and, you know, how to be the singing one, it kind of came together like that.
I remember that I did a performance in school and I sang one aria and that was it. The next day I had 2 texts from numbers that I didn't know. One was from a project in town and one was from To Elysium, and they said, our singer quit, can you fill in for her? So it basically took one performance of singing really high pitched, and I was in those bands.
But I didn't particularly search for a woman. And she would have had a good voice and she felt the music. And if she would have been able to write the lyrics for it, we would not have been a female-fronted band. But we are, and
some things have to be the way they are.
There's one thing I'm really happy about is that no one had cell phones yet during the first After Forever show with me. I was listening to some death metal at the time, and I had a t-shirt from Vader. It's this Polish metal band, and it was slightly too small for me. And I painted my hair black, pitch black, made me look like I just died. I didn't know what to do with makeup all that well yet, and I for sure didn't know what to do on stage. I think that was still in my background position, that you know, we still had the grunting singer as the main man, and so I would get up every time I had to sing, and when I was done with singing, I would sit down on a speaker or something and waited until I could, you know, get back on my feet.
My first show with Arch Enemy. So this is a big deal for me, right? This is my first time I'm going to be playing the songs that I wrote for Arch Enemy and the old songs that I've loved for years. So our bus breaks down on the way to that show twice. The second time the air conditioning breaks down, and we're in like Turkey. We're going like through Turkey and like in Romania, and so it's boiling hot. So we're just drenched in sweat, like we can't even move, it's super hot. Plus the drive to get there was 24 straight hours. So we're in this boiling sauna for 24 hours. So then we get there, but because the driver was crazy, we got there about 6 hours late. And so we got there like half an hour before I had to get on stage. So I went from being like in this enclosed vehicle with no air, it's boiling hot for 24 hours straight, to half an hour to get on stage and do like probably the most important show of your life.
In my recollection, there was no show between that show and another at exactly the same place. Maybe a year later, I changed from background position, or at least, oh my God, this is a scary position, to okay, now I'm the front lady, I should wear something nice, and now, you know, I still didn't know exactly what to do, of course, but I got a dress for my mom. I was so proud of it. She used to wear it. I wore it at that show. I didn't know it shone through a little bit, so you could see my underwear. But at that time, I didn't know. Fortunately, I just thought I looked really pretty, and I had a little more, feeling of security there. And that was my first front a metal band kind of thing. I already did a lot of headbanging, which is funny because now I know a lot of people know me because of that windmill stuff that I do with my head. I still love to do it. It's still part of the whole metal vibe or something, but yeah, first show, I absolutely was way too shy for all of that. Makeup is the best part. Trust me. Nothing is as fun as putting on makeup before a show.
I know.
It didn't grow on me very natural what to wear, what kind of makeup to use, how to use it. I really had to grow into that role and really had to learn from other people.
This goes for men and women, but I think this is a certain challenge which is, which is a serious challenge for women. I think women have to put a lot more thought into, okay, so what is my image going to be? What is going to be the unspoken messages behind the way that I dress, behind the way that I do my face?
What do you want to show with your clothes? The metal and the female side, the bit gothic thing that's been going on for so many years that I try to kind of push away, like, no, it's not gothic, it's metal, you know. What is the difference? How do you visualize that? So I really learned there. I have to thank Simone from Epica for that. She really helped me there.
You listen to the music, you're listening to emotions, thoughts, experiences, and you feel with you're like looking with your ears. But when you are on stage, I find it important to dress up yourself as much as the stage with decoration, with backdrops, with nice lighting. It's a part of the visual.
Well, yeah, but it is always a balance with some of the real hard stuff, and I'm standing there in my short dress, or if I wear a shorter skirt, I'm like, does this fit? You know, is this not a bit weird? At the same time, I actually love jeans or good leather pants on stage. But if you do a ballad or something more melodic, it doesn't fit. So you need to find a balance indeed between the metal and the, you know, the looking cool part and the feminine, more, rounder, melodic, nicer element. I know that from other colleagues in this genre, female colleagues, that it's always been a bigger challenge for us than for male colleagues. Male colleagues also look for the good looks, but somehow it's easier for them.
There are some men that do have to take care to, you know, present themselves for stage, and then there are some women that don't care. So for example, Doyle, he has a look that's very recognizable and iconic, and so if he was to go on stage without that look, it wouldn't be the same show for a lot of people. And it might seem silly because it's just like hairstyle and makeup and working out every fucking day, but it's actually important, and that's what makes a good show.
Luckily, our guys also have all good taste, even though we've all aged. So we become older and you present yourself in a different way. You see things in a different light, but I find it important to make the visual as nice also as the music.
The objectification in general goes for men as well as women. I mean, in Dutch we say, the eye also wants something, so you can be a good musician, but you know.
There is a certain amount of bullshit that women do have to take just because we're women.
I have found myself in serious fights over things that might seem trivial to other people, you know, like the few inches that they photoshopped off my thighs. I would get infuriated because this for me is playing along with that circus that teaches people that they should look a certain way and not differently. And I think, will my music sound any different if my thighs are... No.
I've never felt exceptional because I'm a woman. I've never felt I'm getting more privileges because of it. I've never used my sexualism to get any benefits. And I actually find it very annoying that a lot of people try to emphasize the difference between females in metal, you know, towards men. Yeah, sure, there are differences. Yeah, plenty. But by emphasizing it, you'll never get to this level. And especially, I think ladies do it just as much as men do. Hey, I've been in a metal band for 14 years. Doro is celebrating her 35th anniversary. Women in metal is not a new concept, and we learned how to be ourselves in a group of men, like maybe girls do in the army or other types of work where there are more men than women.
The fact of the matter is you're still female to the rest of the world, you know, and that means that you're a target for certain things to the rest of the world. Even if you're wearing a snowsuit, not showing any skin, with no makeup, shave your head, you're still gonna be told to take off your clothes because you're a girl.
I do say that if you are one to follow whatever your higher manager or your A&R person or your and once again, this is not name calling, this is just from experience from working with a lot of different people. If you're going to do what those people want you to do, you'll probably be wearing push-up bras your entire life. And not much more, might I add.
My roommate is a great example, Justine from Blackguard, okay? She seriously works harder than most men that I know in the scene. She plays drums better than, I think, 99% of any drummer I've ever seen in any band. She loads all her own stuff. She takes apart her kit, she puts it back together, she helps the other bands put their kits together. But then she'll still get, oh, are you the merch girl? Or, oh, whose girlfriend are you?
There was this cover some time ago of a magazine, a French magazine. I don't know what exactly it was, but there were female singers of metal bands on the cover. And they were together and they were painted as the Last Supper. But we all got accessories. And, you know, some of us were undressed, painted, and, you know, we got pasties on our boobs. I had the pleasure of being completely naked with a pile of cocaine in front of me. And there were a lot of girls who were outraged about that. And there were some girls who said, "You girls don't have a sense of humor," and these girls who said, "You don't have a sense of humor." These are the girls that also made the statements like, "Oh, you know, I'm just one of the guys," and it's kind of like, don't make an issue out of this gender thing. And I was really stuck in between, because I do have a sense of humor. Then again, I would have appreciated the guy asking whether he could paint me naked in front of a mountain of cocaine to be on the cover of a magazine, you know?
In the 80s, it was like you had to be careful about like not showing too much skin, or, you know, otherwise you would be in that corner, like the bimbo kind of stuff. It was my first show on the Judas Priest tour back in the day, and I had brand new stage clothes on. And they were done, like, especially for me, like really nice and tight and stuff. So I had like a beautiful top on, and then I was headbanging and jumping up and down. And then I was, you know, pushing my fist in the air. And then my bass player, he came up, he said, "Doro, look at yourself." And then I said, "What?" And then I looked down, and my top, it broke. It was like, just like, yeah. And then I thought, oh my God, it was just a couple of seconds. And then I turned around, maybe 10 seconds. And, you know, I just like tried to, you know, put it back together. So I came to America, my first trip there, and I walked into a record store, and then I said, "Oh, you know, can you sign that nice poster?" And I said, "Oh, sure." And then I opened up, I think it was Kerrang! Magazine or something, and it was the big poster of me, like, you know, like nothing on, you know, like just the breast. And I thought, oh, and I thought, no way, man. I wanted to be taken seriously for our nice metal and not for that.
I can imagine you use your sexuality, but to sell sex just to get famous, it happens on all levels, and maybe you're just compromising for a lack of other talents. That's always what I think when I see it.
If a woman feels like, I want to be naked and fuck you because I'm doing this for me, cool, do it. But then on the other side, it's like, well, I've had to work for like many years just to not be seen as something that should be naked by now, you know? And when I see other women sort of really pushing their bodies, it's sort of, honestly, it usually bothers me at first, because I'm like, no, we're fighting against that. Like, make them listen instead of look.
I think it's demeaning, but like I say, it's only my opinion. That doesn't mean it's true. Maybe it's a very, very good singer who just likes to do that, or says, hey, for the heck of it, I do want to get famous and I don't care how. Fair enough. I don't want to judge it. But at least for as far as I'm concerned, looking good, looking appealing, sure. But selling sex just to get there, I don't know. Whether it's metal or not, it's demeaning for women. We don't need that, come on.
Although that is a tool that you can use to control people, because you can basically just be like, you know, boobs, buy this magazine. Oh, okay, whoa, I have this magazine in my hand. How did that happen, you know? As much as that's cool because you're actually using your sexuality to control others, just be careful, because that sexuality that you put out there is something that's going to always be identified with you.
For a lot of people, needless to say, music is a really personal thing. And you make a very personal thing a product. Because, you know, it's a CD, people can buy it, it's a product. If you make that very personal thing a product, it's very easy to, and of course then you sell images of yourself as well, then it's very, very hard to even keep from objectifying yourself. This is actually, I just recently, 3 weeks ago, I got this tattoo, and it's my first tattoo.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I was very, very proud of it. And I thought, shall I put it on the internet? Shall I put a photo on it on my Facebook page? And I think for the first time, I thought, this is something that is for me. And I know that with, whatever, the people are probably just going to judge it as if I was putting out a song or whatever, And I thought, no, this is something which is for me, and sometimes it's actually hard to make this distinction when people are buying not only into the music but into the band itself so much. At one point people are not judging your music anymore. They're not judging your photo anymore. They're not judging your ass anymore. They're judging you, and this is something that within the whole process sometimes is tricky shit. Yeah. Oh.
"10 to 15 years ago, it was a relatively new phenomena, late 90s, more ladies fronting metal bands. Of course, it's not an entirely new thing, but there was a different type of music attached to it, a different vibe to it compared to the early 80s with Doro and Lita Ford and more the heavy metal genre. And more and more bands came and maybe had a bit of the same sound in the beginning. First it was called gothic metal, a name I didn't understand either.
I like female-fronted metal a lot more than gothic metal, to start. I don't know if that's something that's very used in America, but in Europe you hear that a lot. And that, I think, doesn't say anything about the music at all.
That's outdated. That's outdated. Female-fronted metal. Nowadays there are so many metal bands with a female singer that it sounds weird saying it's a female-fronted metal band, because you don't say that when a guy is singing.
Yeah, a lot of people like this kind of typecasting where everything is about gender and everything is about how super special that is.
So why a male-fronted band can be called symphonic metal, death metal, black metal, but a band with a female singer is always female-fronted metal.
For instance, when you wanna try to get booked on a festival, and they say like, "Oh, we already got a female-fronted metal band." I'm like, yeah, okay, well, you have a lot of male-fronted metal bands, so that shouldn't really be a problem.
I think if we would focus more on the music itself than on the gender of the people on stage, that would be the best thing to do. Like, I don't regard my gender, my identity. Like, there's a whole lot more to it.
Yeah, Epica is a metal band. We're not a female-fronted metal band. We got Mark, who's also singing. And like I said, I can burp like a man, so...
Maybe the origins of metal is a bit more male-dominated than it is today, and that means that it still is a male-dominated scene. I don't think that's a bad thing, but it's not that special anymore that there are ladies in bands, and to call the entire band a female-fronted band, or the music they make female-fronted music, that I think has nothing to do with how it sounds, and that would not happen in other genres.
True hearts, true faith.
You know, girls generally don't want to be gross and dirty, and sometimes guys are okay with that, you know? Like, we kind of want to take showers, we kind of have to, like, put on makeup sometimes, and we want to, like, have some privacy to change our clothes, and, you know, little things like that that you don't necessarily think about. But they are an issue because you're a band of people together all the time in a van or in a backstage or in a bus or wherever. Like, it's different, you know? We're a different species almost. We need different things.
In a certain way, I do feel very connected and very similar to the guys, but at the same time, I recognize our differences. And I don't find it necessary to emphasize it anymore. Like in a normal relationship between men and women, we all know the differences. There's always a little tension, a little game of, you know, there's always a difference, but that's fine, and you just learn how to deal with that.
I was always one of the guys, and no big deal. And when people want to degrade you to just being a woman, that sometimes, you know, that makes me, you know, like, makes me laugh, actually. On the other hand, now we're touring all over the world, and we tour in many, many different countries where you can definitely feel, man, there's a lot of stuff going on that women are totally not equal to men. In some countries you can really see that, and in some countries I couldn't even, you know, go and perform. It's like, you know, I hope that would change, but yeah.
I myself started as a teenager in metal. It was not necessarily to rebel against my parents, but at the same time I can imagine at that time it was not exactly something they said like, yay, my daughter is singing in a metal band.
I don't think that they mind that it's metal. My parents, I mean, they didn't listen to metal, but at least they listened to, you know, Pink Floyd, you know, music that you actually have to listen to, as is metal.
They've always helped me whenever they can, and they've supported me and my sister, who is also in the entertainment business.
To have them support me and believe in me and let me be who I am has made a huge, huge difference and impact, you know?
I think it's also a bit up to yourself as a musician to involve people into your world.
Dat ben ik. Maar er is er nog één in de zaal. Dat is mijn moeder. Hoi, mam.
Once they see that it's not just noise and satanic dramas in backstages.
I mean, they come to the gigs when we have gigs near them, and yeah, I think they're as cool as you can be as parents about, you know, your kids pursuing a career in music.
Sure, not every parent has been or is equally supportive. I'm very fortunate with mine. They gave me the freedom to make my own choices and to make my own mistakes, for that matter.
I remember my parents, they came to one concert when we played with Judas Priest, and they were like, you know, dressed like, you know, conservative, like mom and dad. And then all these headbangers with the long hair and their, you know, jeans, denim vests with all the patches and the bullet belts. And then, you know, and then they said, hey, what are you guys doing here? And then my dad said, yeah, that's my daughter. And then all the fans said, oh, really? And then, you know, and then they had the best time.
I wonder how dads look at their daughters when they do all that stuff. Like, yeah, my daughter growls now, you know.
My parents weren't so happy with my decision of quitting high school because they thought singing in a band would be a phase, like many teens go through different phases, and they thought, oh, she might not be happy with her decision one day, and parents like to guide you. And yeah, they were shocked at first, but supportive. They came to the shows, and then through the years they saw Epica became successful and that you can make a living with being in a band, and that it's not just something you do for fun, but that it's a real profession, and that there is a way to support yourself in while being a musician in the metal scene.
After Forever just stopped. And at the same time, the first economical crisis started. There was no work for me as a singer. Where I had tons of projects in the summer before, there was nothing gonna happen. Yeah, so I had a lot of time, and I was just, you know, using money I made before while I had time to work. Not as a musician, but I didn't want to spend my money on doing nothing and feeling sorry for myself. So I did start Revamp, but I also started working in a lingerie store for a couple of months.
I have done dishes, but I have done dishes in the most fancy restaurant of the Netherlands. I have done data entry for a year. It made me brain dead.
I had a real job up until like less than a year ago. I started working when I was like 11 years old actually, but not at like a 9 to 5. I started working doing art. So I would do commission artwork, paintings, big murals, stuff like that.
It was basically pressing enter and falling asleep.
I have a job as an IT specialist. I do that 4 days a week. And I think it would take a lot of good luck to earn that salary from the metal music, yeah. But I've seen different approaches from musician friends that I have. You either, you know, get another kind of job or do some other kind of thing, and then you make your money with it, and then you do exactly what you want with music. This is what I do. And you have people that they only want to do music, so they do what they want and they teach and they maybe do some other kind of session work and stuff that it's not necessarily exactly what you want to do. But then you get your week full, you pay your bills, it's all great.
I started working as a teacher on 2 different schools. It wasn't bad to do, I actually enjoyed it. And it was funny to see during my works there, I started to get some more work. I got some more students and was writing for the first Revamp album. So I was busy enough. It makes you humble. If you always have just peaks, you might just take things for granted faster. I've always seen it that way. If things go bad for a while, well, then that's just it. It's just a matter of how you deal with it. And If you work hard, you'll get back on your feet.
There's lucky ones that have reached that level where they can make the money out of exactly the music that they want to make, and that's great. That is something that I would like to do.
Hey everyone, this is Marcella from Stream of Passion. I'm doing this video actually on request of my friend Grace Meriden, who wanted to learn more about the Lax Vox technique, a technique that helps you relax your vocal cords and help you sing in a more open way. And since I thought maybe some singers out there could be interested in it, then I'm just gonna put it on YouTube and you can all take a look and maybe work with this technique because it's amazing.
I'm a bit of a vocal nerd, and I really enjoy knowing how everything works. And it gives me a lot of pleasure to have that moment where you think like, right, so when because singing lessons can be very abstract, you know? They can tell you like, sing more like to the front of, you know, like sing more towards your face. It's basically you blow into the tube as if you were making an ooh sound. And you blow like this and you make bubbles on your tube, like this. When it clicks, when you figure out how something works and clicks, and then you understand and then you master it and then you can just use it however you want, that's such an incredibly nice feeling.
By teaching others, you stay in touch with vocal technique. You're very aware of what you are doing because you want to explain it to someone else. I'll do a little example, just a little singing.
All right. We are perfectly good in that mic.
All right. You stay in touch with vocal techniques as they evolve rapidly. The difference between when I started to study and now is quite big, and that's good. So I'd like to stay in touch with that, and teaching other people things I know a lot about. Technique geek as I am has always, satisfied me. If you always sing very nice and sweet and light, this is like a head voice sound. Ah, it has a bit of a sweet sound. So if you want to have a rocky vibe, you're not going to go for this voice. You go for that one. There's a lot of different sounds, and you can use as an effect within the rock sound as well, or the more lady poppy sound. Hey, hey, hey. You'll hear the R&B singers do a lot of those things. You can make every vocal type really raw, by the way, but you do need to know what you're doing. With grunts, you're actually not using your vocal cords, or barely. You're using your false vocal cords. But just the false vocal cords will sound like this. A bit raw, rough. They're bigger and less coordinated as the actual vocal cords. And when they vibrate, well, that's how it sounds. I've always focused on singing as clean as possible. High, low, lower, even higher, very soft, very high, but everything always clean. Then I tried to use it in different genres. And then I discovered, especially during the live shows, that this little raw edge was coming off. Not because I was doing something wrong, but just because it grew that way and it felt right. So I tried to figure out, how do I actually do that?
I think every musician, if you're able to do something, then you kind of want to demonstrate it, don't you? It doesn't really fit the music that I make if I'm going to start like, oh!
Grunts are not an unfamiliar element in this type of music. I just figured it would be cool to do it myself. Indeed, to emphasize the versatility that I hope makes me a little different from, you know, the other singers, female and male.
I will never be such a great grunter as I am a more melodic singer, because that's what that's how I can, you know, share my message the best.
My vocals are pretty much just pure emotion. I mean, growling is like very much like, this is the word that I'm saying to you and this is how I'm saying it to you. And it's a very, very complex form of vocalization as well. You know, it's not easier or harder or whatever than clean singing. To me, they're the same. I'm having a lot more fun actually just doing growls, because I feel like as a performer I'm able to grow and I'm just starting. It's so aggressive, it's so physical. You know, I get off stage and I feel like I just sprinted for an hour. And it never really felt like that before. Like, it always felt like I was doing a hard workout and I was really, you know, involved, but now the intensity and the range of emotions, if you scream without feeling it, you can hear it.
Every type of singing, whether it's high, low, soft, loud, clean or distorted, I understand what I need to do to make the sound. More importantly, I know how it feels to do it. And then, of course, it's a big challenge to shift between the sounds and between the notes. I'm happy it looks effortless on stage. That's good to hear, because it doesn't feel that way. It's definitely, you know, a lot of, okay, now I'm doing this, now I'm doing that, my body needs to do this, my body needs to do that, because my body is my machine, you know, I need to push the right buttons there. I wouldn't call it a trick, but it's a technique, you know. Yeah, you just need to learn how to master.
It's very, very refreshing and very, very cool to be able to do a lot of this stuff. It's also very important to find your own voice and your own thing, and I know what my thing is.
This is actually sad, but initially I thought, because I was a woman, there's no way I'm tough enough for this genre. I thought that I really needed to be more than I was, and so I created a vocal sound for myself, and it actually hurt my voice. It wasn't a good thing for me at all.
With every type of singing, it really depends on how you're built in here. What type of singing fits with you most?
When I started to play every night, I couldn't actually keep it up, because first of all, physically it wasn't possible. And then also I was realizing how the response was from people. And I was really noticing that being genuine was the best way to go, and I learned a lot.
Everything that comes easy will become, you know, the voice that, you know, is most natural on you, whether that is singing in a very high-pitched voice or growling. For me personally, the raw singing didn't come natural. I really had to search for it. While the clean singing was easy.
We're in Columbus, Ohio. I just woke up here in this nice little neighborhood. And now it's always a fun thing to find the venue and the entrance to the venue. I think I'll just follow Robin.
Let's do this!
Yeah! Woo! Box! Box!
Good show!
Yeah, goeie show!
There are some bands that just want to, like, you know, party all night, stay up all night doing drugs, alcohol, people, whatever. But there are a lot of bands that you know, really take it very seriously, and they understand that if they damage themselves, they can't work.
The sex, drugs, rock and roll kind of life, for real professional bands, it's impossible. It'll kill you in the end.
But if you've been doing drilling on the thing,
Bleeding.
They think that we are using drugs all day long and that we roll on stage drunk and do our show and then go to bed with all the females of the crowd. And that's a thing you cannot get talked out of the head of people.
Feeding the fishies with Rebound. There you go.
Nom 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 nom.
I know for myself, I've never ever used any of it, so. Well, alcohol, sure, but never of the hard drugs or any of that shit. And to really stay in shape and do this work, you can't.
If I get hurt or I get sick, I can't work. I can't play my show, and that's what I need to do. And like missing a day of work as a touring musician doesn't mean you're gonna have like one angry boss. It means you're gonna have like 2,000 angry fans.
My drug was always music, always, always. I would do anything for that, and it's my ultimate high.
In the band we have a rule, no drinking before the show. Some discipline is in order as well. If you have ambition, you want to be very aware of what you're doing on stage.
I don't use any drugs. The only thing I do is sometimes drink a beer.
I personally don't drink at all, you know, and for me, having fun is hanging out with my friends in that city wherever I am, and you know, maybe going to like a cool vegan restaurant or like going to a gym, working out. That's what's cool for me on tour. That's like how I have fun on tour.
What I learned is, yeah, definitely that it's not a good idea to, to have too many substances. All my friends who were in other bands, all people who had too much drugs or alcohol, man. Now, years later, it's definitely catching up. Do what you love to do, but don't turn into, don't get dependent on on some stupid stuff.
Amphitheater workout challenge accepted.
I've always been a bit of a sporty person, but the older I get, the more I feel it's really important. Not just because of aging, but also because of experience. Being in a good shape is making your condition better, so you'll fight off all kinds of viruses and easier, because you don't want to pick up every cold that's hanging around you. When your energy is down and when your condition is bad, you'll be more receptive for all kinds of diseases.
So I've been burned out, not as bad as Floor has, because I know her and she had a bad case, and she had to also learn from scratch again how to take care of yourself.
Hi, this is Floor from Revamp. Wanted to leave you a bit of a more personal message. Looking back, the first symptoms were a lot of throat infections. Of course, a singer gets a throat infection. I could have had anything else, but it was always my throat. I didn't feel it ever had anything to do with how I sang or with, the fact that I used my voice a lot. That was just, for some reason, a weak spot. Some people say it's because you keep emotions here. When you have too many emotions you don't deal with, this becomes a weak spot. Whatever the truth was, I kept on eating all kinds of shit to get rid of it again. Because of course, the thought of taking it easy and heal naturally never occurred to me. So that happened, but then I had quite a long holiday. It was the summertime and I got back to my almost normal energy level, I thought. And we went on tour, everything went well. And I think November 2011, 2011, I went to the doctor saying I'm so tired all the time. And every time I do a bit too much, my temperature rises and I become feverish. They checked my blood. It was all good. That was beginning of November. Late November, same thing. It became worse. I went back to the doctor, they did another check. Couldn't find anything, went back to work. Then it was the holidays, I had 2 weeks off, and the beginning of January I felt pretty good again. But then I started to work, and after a little bit, I got the symptoms back, super tired, high temperature, and I started to get less and less air. I had the feeling I was just not breathing normally. And I remember going on a short little tour with Revamp, with Epica, and I was in England for the first time with them and realized I sort of panicked. I started to panic about things. I couldn't control anything anymore. Shit, sorry. Hell, I never talk about it anymore.
You need a minute?
No, it's okay. Wow. I'm so angry about it. The temperatures kept rising, so every time I would do something, I would just get a fever. But they couldn't find, anything that could, give a reason, any physical reason anyway. Even though all these symptoms are very physical. Looking back, my doctor should have noticed all those symptoms. He could have done a better job on me if he would have said in November, Floor, if I put 1 and 1 together and it's 2, you've got a burnout. But he didn't, so he just let me get on going for a little while longer. Which I truly feel caused more recovery time, because by the time I stopped working, I was so tired. I couldn't think anymore. I couldn't like anything anymore. I couldn't breathe anymore. And I had a constant fever, which makes you dizzy and tired, and terrible feeling, terrible state you get used to. You get used to feeling so miserable.
I went to an emergency room in Italy and got x-rays and blood tests done to make sure that I wasn't gonna die.
It was infected with the MRSA bacteria due to many years of taking antibiotics.
I've been singing just when I was feverish and while I should have rested. And
I learned now that every little symptom you might have is one. If you've got pain, there's something wrong. If you get sick, there's something wrong. And you need to stop doing work, you need to give yourself some time to recover. But we live in an industry, we live in a world where we have to keep on going. You'll get praised by your colleagues. Yeah, I'm sick, but I'm still here. Wow, good work ethics. Really? No, go home before you infect anyone else and get better.
In the past, when I was on tour, I got sick. I just got antibiotics from wherever I was, from whichever doctor, and I wanted to get better faster, and in a way it kind of broke down my immune system.
I got into the hospital and I got cortisone shots in my ass, and it was...
It's not bad to be sick. It happens and you need to get better. You're not going to get better by avoiding or ignoring the fact that you're sick or that there are, minor things. And I think if there's one thing I learned, it's definitely that. And
when you are the only one who can't really perform, you have to anyway, because there's money, there's people who bought tickets, there's people already in the car on the way to the concert,
As a headliner, you have other bands with you who are depending on you, and so that puts kind of a lot of pressure on you.
You have to go on, or not, I don't know. It's a big thing for vocalists.
During the North American tour, I was in 5 different hospitals who had to take care of me, and I didn't know what was wrong. It took a while before we found that out. So I did another European tour with Sonata Arctica. I had to go to the hospital again, and they even did one show without me. It was the last show of the tour. I just woke up after being in the hospital with no voice and no energy. That was in Amsterdam, so they did the show without me. I think Tony even sang the vocals on one song as a tour joke. And I was sick in bed, and
it sucked. It was the one time that our tour manager came into the bus and say, "Elaine has just started playing." And I was like, no, because I am right here.
Why did I get my burnout now? Why did I not get overworked any time before? Because I've been working really hard for many years and always loving that, by the way. I even need a certain amount of pressure and stress and work.
It's all or nothing. And when you give it all, then you're gonna have to keep giving it all, and it's gonna go faster and faster and harder, and that's what it is. And every time I'm like, okay, I'm gonna burn out, I'm exhausted, then a million more things pile up that I have to do. There's no top to this mountain, you just keep climbing up.
What was different in the period before the burnout was that I started to do a lot of different kinds of jobs. I did the management, and I did this, and I did that, and I became a teacher, and I wanted to become a very good teacher, and I wanted to be a very good manager, and I wanted to understand everything about the finances, and do the invoices, and do everything. I wanted to do a lot of things I'm not good at either, but just because I felt that I had to do it, no one else could do it better than me, I had to do it, and I'm a huge perfectionist. So all those things that I was doing needed to be done perfect. And I'm a good singer, I'm a good songwriter, I'm a good performer, but I'm not a good manager. And I'm a good teacher, but I'm not there to organize an entire school. But I started doing that too. I wanted to be involved. I wanted to know everything, understand everything, and take over where I thought it was necessary. With so much, it's not good. So if there's one thing I learned is that there are a couple of things I'm really good at, and there are a couple of things I'm not good at. And I'll focus on the things I'm good at and try to let other people do the things I'm not good at, because they'll do it better and I'll feel much better. It's just a different perspective and a different way of saying, like, okay, this I can do, this I can't. That doesn't mean that I don't do anything I don't like or I'm not so good at, but there's a healthier balance now.
If you don't take proper care of your body and your health in general, then stuff like that does happen more often.
It's very often it's a character thing. It's not necessarily what you do, it's definitely how you do it, and then the amount of things you do, plus the character that comes in that says, yeah, but I want to do it perfect, and I'm super loyal to the things I'll do. I always finish something. There's no such thing as saying, I'll stop when my body tells me to stop. No, I'll stop when it's finished.
I don't know if I would be able to continue at this pace physically for very long, because it's really intense right now. I'm definitely going to need to slow down at some point, probably right before recording the next album. I'll just take a little breather and then head back into studio. But
these character things, they're good. It's good to be loyal, it's good to be perfectionistic and to be ambitious. It's just, you need to learn where your boundaries are and how to stop in time and to say, okay, maybe it's not perfect, but it's good, so it's good. And then I'm satisfied. I can be happy now. I can get my energy off of it now. And the things I can do myself, I need to give it away to someone else. And if the other person screws up, then the other person screws up. He'll do better next time. You can't control it. And I make it sound really easy, but I don't master it at all. When something needs to be done, I'll be the first one to do it. It's really annoying. And I really have to let it go.
What I do to maintain my health is, first of all, also state of mind, because being afraid of getting sick can make you sick.
After the losing my voice incident, I was extremely disciplined and I wouldn't even have a sip of alcohol, but this was only bad for me because I got totally stressed out.
And stress level is a big part of it. So I find that if I'm happy, if I'm relaxed, I can conquer the world. And if I'm not, everything else will fall apart.
It is kind of strange because you want to be rock and roll and you want to just go with the flow and everything, but
I think maybe it's a vocalist thing because our instrument is in our body. So if we don't maintain that, then you don't, because you polish the guitar, you put it in the case and it's in the bus. You don't look at it anymore until the next show. But we do the interviews, we do the talking, and we have to sleep and eat right. And
this fall we had a tour in America with Camelot. It was very good that we had Alyssa Whiteglass with us because she's vegan and she was, able to direct me to all the good places, around the venues.
I'm always concerned with my health because my instrument is my body. So I have to make sure that I'm sleeping enough, eating the right things, not eating the wrong things, staying away from drugs and smoke.
And this is actually the first time where I was very disciplined about what I ate. And also every time that we were near a hotel, just go to whatever kind of closet that they put the gym in, and spend some time there. And it made a huge difference for how I felt. And also I feel for how I was singing. And
singing is using your breath in a very controlled way. The breath makes your vocal cords vibrate in that sound, so you need control over your breath. If you're out of shape, you'll be out of breath. You'll sound like a dog that's just been running all the time. That's not nice, and it also loses the fine tuning on the singing. You can't sing the long notes. The really high notes become, you'll need the control.
And that's really, really important. But I'm not super concerned with losing my voice or blowing it out just because for basically the past 10 years I've been doing, many different kinds of growls, like black metal screams and death growls, and like power metal kind of singing and operatic singing, and I haven't lost any range in the clean voice.
Yeah, I go to the gym. I run 3 times a week. I do try to take care of my body, and maybe more so than if I hadn't been a singer, especially on tour. I'm starting to realize how much of a difference it makes.
On the road it's difficult, more difficult, especially when you travel by nightliner. When you fly a lot and you have irregular days, and times, the only thing you want is to sleep, and then working out becomes a real pain in the ass almost, because you have to, you'll feel better, but you need to find the balance there.
And I think that this line between being relaxed and being kind of having some discipline, it might lie somewhere else for everybody.
And don't let your bandmates tell you you're just another instrumentalist. Like, vocalists are a special breed. They need more care. It's true. I would like it to be different. I would like to be, party all night and then the day after sing like an angel. But you can't. So you have to, that life maintenance, and that's, I think, 50% of being a singer is that.
I must admit, I don't know what it's like to have a regular job or a regular life. So I can't compare it. I can only tell that, like in any other business, nothing happens without a reason. Nothing is just pure luck and coincidence. So that means that everything that happens is driven by something or by someone. And you'll need a bit of luck and talent. You need to be lucky enough to be there at the right moment, at the right place, like we were with After Forever.
With After Forever, it took like 5 years to be able to make a living from it, and there wasn't enough income coming in. And with Epica, it took like three or 4 years. So you need in the beginning, it's a lot of investments. You need to get all the equipment. You need to get whatever it needs to start a band. Once you have everything together, you can start getting out of the debt.
This job, I consider it a job. Some people don't consider it a job. I do. I earn my money with it, so it's my job. And you have to, you have to be careful. And it's not a very structured work load you have. It's like touring. It's like it's in blocks where you are very busy, and where it's not so busy. So you have to be aware of that, and your situation at home. You should accept that as well, of course. So that's very important.
We can pay each other a monthly salary, and so just like everybody else who has a normal job, even I mention it like this now. But I see this also, of course, as a normal job. But the outside world doesn't, and so it's just like any other job. But the only big difference is we can really do what we really enjoy doing.
What I always say to everybody, also when I ask guest musicians, for example, money is one thing, but you only be a guest musician on my album when you think it's fun. If you don't think it's fun, then don't do it.
And there are so many people out there who have a job who do not really enjoy the job. And that's another point. I think when you really do what you like to do in life, even though it's very hard in the beginning, eventually there's a big chance that it will succeed. Because when your intuition tells you to do something, I think for me especially, my intuition is most of the time right, and that's why I follow it. And that's why it brought me already so many things that I wished for. So it happened with After Forever, and then people said, yeah, you were lucky. But it happened also with Epica. It cannot be just luck anymore.
For some reason, there was a little interest growing in metal bands with female singers. It was new, and there was The Gathering in the Netherlands, then there was Within Temptation in the Netherlands. Within this tiny little country here, there was a platform for this music. That was luck. That had nothing to do with hard work or with talent. But the reason that we did get it to a level was because of hard work, was because of always being there, was because of, the effort put into getting the music out there without the use of internet, because, it wasn't there yet. It started to come. Having your own website, we had a first time with that, there was MySpace at first. I don't know even it still exists or if it's big enough, but then, hey, there's MySpace. We need to be on MySpace. How does that work? I've never, I remember getting lessons on how to browse on internet when I was already on the Rock Academy. I never even had it at high school. And I'm sure other older artists, the whole scene is so changing. But before I go to that, what do you do? For me, you need to be good at the things you're best in, or the other way around, best in the things you're good at. So I trained my voice so much. I sang so much and practiced so much. And yeah, you have your own little company, so you need to understand how that works. You're one element in a big circus, in a big circle of people. You need to understand where you are, where you want to go to. There's no such thing as a 9-to-5 job. There's no such things as weekends or organized holidays. If you want to have a family life as an artist, that's a big challenge. When you don't work, there's no money. When you get sick, too bad. And yeah, sure, you have your glory moments. There are moments of, great exposure and you're on the stage. But if you consider a day has 24 hours and you'll only be on stage 1.5 hours of it, the rest of the time you're doing other things, and it's really not just laying around. Metal is not the genre with the biggest audiences compared to a lot of other genres. So also financially, it's not much of a guarantee there. It's really more of a dream. I mean, you can set a dream for yourself. I want to become a professional metal singer. I think it sounds a bit like a dream because it's a very tough industry. There's a lot of competition.
The scary thing is you can't disappear in this industry, especially when you're growing. It's very vulnerable. It's a very vulnerable place to be. You can't just take a break. First, it's like you build up your reputation and your name, and then maybe when you're 30 or at least a decade into your career, you start making enough to survive.
Are you guys ready to rock to death?
You need to stay and ride it and work it as much as you can. The thing about it is that it's a labor of love because first of all, this isn't a job. I absolutely love what I'm doing, so you don't mind working all the time, but the thing is you are working all the time.
There's a lot more hard work involved than anyone would ever think. And no one is going to lift one finger for you if you haven't done a massive amount of work on your own. There are no free passes.
I don't know if it's a profession at all, professional metal singer. And that coming out of my mouth. Becoming a musician, becoming a bigger band within the genre, and keep on doing that eventually made me the professional metal singer.
You know, I've done metal always sort of by my own rules. Not that there are many rules in metal anyways, but I've always sort of felt like, okay, well, I'm just gonna be me. Because I can either be like a crappy version of somebody else or I can be the best version of me. So I'm gonna be the best version of me.
You are putting yourself out there as an example somewhat for people, mostly other girls and younger girls.
I have been having a lot of reactions from mostly girls that say, wow, the way you've been singing and your performance and your style has been very inspiring. After I heard you, I really wanted to do something similar. It's really amazing to see that happen, like, oh, people have been really picking this up.
If I get that kind of message, I'm like, oh, you've been an example for me. But yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, it's very, very heartwarming and very rewarding when I get messages like that from, you know, like people from Mexico. I just hope that I can make those people realize that nothing is given and that you have to work really hard for it.
Having a good ass and a nice front is a plus for the male fans. They like to look at it. But for a true music fan, the music comes first. So if your music sucks, the fans will go away after a while.
I think that's what metal is all about too. It's about sweat and work and, you know, be real. Give it your all, you know, and you know, go full out. I love it. I love it. Makes you feel you're alive. I have a good connection to all the female musicians out there, or to most of them, and we are usually really great friends. And I always feel I can call my best friends. If there's something, or if there's a problem, you could always, you know, call and get some good support, good advice. Yeah, we do that actually a lot. And, yeah.
I love them all. I like them all. I've never thought of competition like in a negative sense, more like inspiration or motivation. What's the use of trying to compare yourself to others because you are unique, you're doing your thing?
All the women in the scene support one another and we're happy to see each other do well. We're all friends, we back each other up, we help each other out.
We have room to flourish and to, you know, and to nurture new generations.
Music can be something that if you feel a certain way and you listen to music that says exactly that or maybe worse, it can be so good for the soul, you know?
I really, again, see it as a privilege to be able to make metal and really, you know, be successful in it and also financially successful enough to make a good living out of it. I don't know if I would still be headbanging in a leather pants when I'm 65. We'll see. I mean, one can dream. Terrible roadie. If you were a woman, you would have never asked it.
Am I enlightened?
All right, let's cut it out. The name of the band is Blackout.
I think, yeah, we should probably not put it on the DVD in case, you know, the authority gets it and, yeah, kind of will be used against you. Fuck.
Wow, man, that's real metal.